Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on SI and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast, wishing you a very happy and blessed Easter. You do this to me. You fluster me for a very special Easter weekend. And I've asked Shannon to join me because she's going to read your questions and I'm going to answer them. So let me just say this. So many of you, it's 10-1. Have emailed and have enjoyed having Shannon on answering your questions. And for those of you that don't like it, that's okay. You can go watch another podcast, but I like having you on, and 10-1, people love having you. So Shannon, thank you for coming on and reading everybody's questions. It's good to get to spend some extra time with you.
That's right.
So let's get right into it. We got a ton. What do we got? Like 6 pages of questions. All right, here we go.
A lot. I took your advice to watch Jalen Walker, a kid I was high on before I heard you mention him. Then you started getting excited about him. My experience was watching him chew up my college team, the Fighting Irish. He had Riley Leonard on his heels and looked for Jalen on every drop back, which affected Leonard's game. I see him as an edge rusher, and I agree with Mike Mayock, who said he could be an off-the-ball LB. Teams could move him around and have him cause chaos. Wouldn't you think Walker is a Pete Carroll kind of guy? And with the development out of New Orleans, they need a quarterback now. Can you see the Raiders switching to Walker with a trade down because they would get another high pick? Number 40, the Saints second, plus 20, 26 picks. Or is this armchair gaming on my part? Thank you, Hondo. Michael O.
Michael O. First of all, I got to tell you, Noah, track mine, told me to tell you that's the camera right there. He goes, it always looks like you're looking down because you're watching the screen. Watch the camera. Good job, Noah.
You tell I do this every day.
So let me address a couple things here. I've already talked about the Raiders trading with the Saints. I think that's a real possibility. I could see them going to 6. And Jalen Walker is certainly a guy, and there's a bunch of them. But a guy that if the Raiders walk out of this draft with Jalen Walker, woohoo! I mean, you are Christmas came early in Raider Nation if you get Jalen Walker. And there's a bunch of guys in this draft. There is so much good talent in this draft. And well, because we were talking to someone who said there's not a lot of great quarterbacks, but everything else, there's a ton of great talent. And we've been telling you that for months. And now you're starting to hear it talked about universally around the NFL. So, yeah, you walk out of this draft with Jalen, there's a bunch of guys. And I think you are thrilled.
All right, next, Hondo. Last year on your podcast, Drew Stanton and you both praised what you were hearing about Jackson Dart. Even as early as January and February, you stood by it, and now we are seeing him mocked into the first every time. Just like you have said from day one that people you respect didn't have Shedeur Sanders rated as a first-round guy, and now whispers are out. You took a ton of grief, but can you discuss that, please, and how you do that? Pete C.
Pete C. Thank you, Pete. Well, first of all, I do think Shedeur is going to go in the first. Even the people that I trust that don't think he is a first-round guy think he's going to go in the first. I think there's going to be at least 4 and maybe even 5 that go. The only thing I think that would alter that is next year's class is so deep that a bunch of teams decide, okay, we're already bad. We can suck again for another year because it's a better class. But none of it. Again, I've had people email and say, well, you don't like Shedeur because you're racist. Well, what's that mean with our black granddaughter and our black nieces and nephews and our Filipino and black son? I guess they don't count. And I have Cam Ward as the number 1 quarterback. It just doesn't make sense. It's nothing personal. He is a great kid. Just there are things about his game that don't automatically say he's a first-round talent. And that's just the reality. I would take Cam Ward before I took Jackson Dart. I'd take Jackson Dart second. And I would take Shedeur. I just wouldn't take him in the first round. Now, anybody that thinks he's their guy should go get him regardless of where I talk about him. I think the Browns would love to get Travis Hunter and then sneak back into the first round and get Shedeur. I think it'd be great. And I hope Shedeur's great. I'm not going to be rooting against him. I think he's a good kid. And what's our rule? We root for good people. And he's good people. And I can tell you that we've had interaction with Dion on multiple occasions outside of football. Wonderful man. Love Dion. Someone said to me, well, how much do you like Dion? I'd let my kid play at Colorado in a heartbeat. So I have zero dislike of Dion. I think he's fantastic. Just my concerns with Shedeur are what people who have proven track record of successful drafting in the NFL have with Shedeur. That's it. Great kid. I hope he does great and wish him nothing but the best. But yes, Jackson Dart as a guy we talked about with Drew Stanton and a lot, and Drew loved him last year. And I know that the NFL's been talking about him. And boy, I did take some criticism really early about him by saying he was a first rounder, but now you're hearing it pretty much from everybody. He is. And I think that he's a legitimate target for the Saints.
In your last question and answer with Aunt Shannon, you said, depending on Will Johnson's workout on Monday, you may or may not see him as viable at number 6. So with your reporting about it, what say you now? Thanks, Anissa R.
Anissa. As soon as I saw that, I wondered if it was our Anissa R. We have some friends that live named sure. She's Anissa R, but she spells it differently. Okay. So Anissa, let me just say this first of all. He, as you said, I've reported he did not run the 40, and there were a bunch of teams that had concerns about his speed before the 2 injuries. And so they really wanted to see him run so they could get a legitimate look at his real speed. If you are the Raiders, who have tremendous relationships at the University of Michigan, I mean, Tom Brady and John Spytek both played there, and the team tells you this is his 40, perhaps then it's not a concern for you. But I know of several teams that will not running the 40 now. They've put him in the second half of the first round just because it's a risk. Not the injuries, but the speed. So if you are certain that the speed is not an issue, you take him at the top. If I was sitting here and I'm John Spytek and I have been told by Michigan what his true speed is, and you can trust them because they're Michigan guys, they're not going to lie to him, then I would have no problem taking Will Johnson at 6. If I don't have that assurances, or I don't know, several teams I know are in that boat. They don't have them there. They said it knocked them down, that they wouldn't touch them before 16 or below. So at 6 to 1, half dozen the other, depends on the information that you have. Because I don't have information about his actual speed, I would have him at a second half of the first round grade. But if you're Spytek and Brady and you do, then you have him at the first early part of the first of the first round.
All right.
Thanks,
next.
Anissa.
This is from Carolyn. Hondo, now that we understand Colton Miller hasn't been at workouts wanting a new deal, I thought it was funny you asked John Spytek about him getting a new deal at the owners' meetings, and you had reported on the possibility before. Did you expect this?
We both did, because you were with me in the car when I got a phone call that he probably was not going to be part of. Well, you remember we were in Cabo, and I got that phone call. You're the one that gave me the phone, remember? And then that he probably would not be participating in the voluntary side of it. And so that's why I got the phone call on the other situation, not on that one. We were in the car on the way to Home Depot when I got the call about Colton before the owners' meetings. Anyways, so then I did ask John about him and the possibility also of Jacoby, because I had been tipped off that was something that Colton's camp was considering and probably going to do. Yes, that is why I asked. but he had not held out at that point. So there was no reason for me to break anything, just finding out. And so there you go.
Hondo, do you think Colton Miller will hold out, miss the season? Joseph D.
I'm going to tell you the way it sits right now. I don't anticipate Colton missing any games. I am not, he could change his mind at any moment. Okay. I'm not speaking for Colton. What I will tell you is I would not be shocked if he showed up the first week of camp. The first week of game week. And I don't think at this point he would miss a game. I may be totally wrong. I'm not speaking for Colton. I don't think he would miss a game, but I could totally see him holding out. And if he didn't get a deal, just coming in and playing the games. Yes. But I don't think at this point he would hold out games.
All right. Uncle Hondo, I love having Aunt Shannon on the show. Does she have a single sister? Or do you have a single daughter? I am 41. Now to my football question. You have been outspoken in your support of Pete Carroll. Anything you disagree with or think you didn't agree with previously and think he will be better at here? Chris T.
First, Chris, she does not have a single sister. And if you're 41, we do not have a single daughter. So let me say a couple things. Pete Carroll, now remember he had a general manager, but Pete still he was the loudest voice when it came to drafting. I was stunned when they took Malik McDowell. And you remember I even said to you, the kid out of Michigan State, what is he thinking? Because that was so not a Pete Carroll pick. That was like so yeah, that was a bad move. And I think they learned from it. And I think with the Raiders, he certainly is going to have a loud voice, but he is not the loudest voice anymore. And I think that would have been beneficial for him in Seattle. So yeah, that's really the one big mistake I've ever seen Pete make. And I'll tell you what, the guy's been in the game for how many decades? The fact that there's only one I can point to tells you a lot about Pete and his character and ability.
Okay. Hondo, you have been straight up that the Raiders job isn't for rookie coaches, even when Antonio got the job. I remember at the time you addressed why you don't ever support it, but you also said they should just hire him by passing the Rooney Rule. I know you explained it before, but I couldn't remember the details. And since you don't read the comments, someone asked about it. Frank C.
Frank, that's a great one, and I'll be glad to answer that. And I don't have a problem being asked about any comment I made. That's just reality. So let me go back and make a couple of points. I am never going to be in favor of the Raiders hiring a rookie coach. Now, I can give you a couple of examples where if they had an emergency and they had to put somebody in there as an interim and the interim learned and did fine, I could see them doing that.
Right.
But I just don't think that is. You're absolutely right. I own that I said the Raiders should skip the Rooney Rule and hire Antonio Pierce. Now, here's why. And do you know what the Rooney Rule is?
I remember talking about it.
Yeah, but it's basically if you're before you can hire a coach, you have to interview a certain number of minorities. Okay. So I need to tell a story to explain where I came to this opinion and then how I just juxtapose not hiring a first-time coach with my saying the Raiders should just hire him. So Matt Millen, who's a dear friend, we love. In fact, should I tell him your Matt Millen story? When you were in the press box with me and he just gives Shannon this huge hug. I think we were in Indiana.
I think so too.
I think we were in Indianapolis, but we were somewhere in the press box and Matt walks up to Shannon, gives her a big hug and just goes, I just don't know what you see in him.
We hear that a lot.
Yeah.
They say I'm pretty. What did I ever see in you?
I know it.
I think you're pretty handsome.
Don't ever use me in pretty. But anyway, and she goes, well, he's a big guy like you, Matt. And I'm actually bigger than him, probably. Mm-hmm. But anyways, and so Matt had gone out and done a press conference and said that Marty Morningwig was returning as the Lions coach. Now, he'd talked to Mr. Ford, the owner, and they were going to keep Marty Morningwig. Well, as long as Matt's alive, I can't tell the story, but one day, if Matt should pass before me, I will tell the story publicly. The Lions hired Steve Mariucci. And one day I'll tell that story publicly, but I don't want to. Matt has asked me not to share that for right now. And so Matt, because of the Rooney Rule, had to go interview guys. Mm-hmm. And Matt told me, as a Christian, I don't want to go lie to these guys and make them think they have a shot to get the job. I mean, we've already hired Steve Mariucci. Mm-hmm. And so Matt called several minority candidates and said, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. You're not getting this job. Steve Mariucci already has it. But I have to interview people. So would you like to interview? And this tells you about Matt and his character. Multiple guys. Matt, if you need to interview me so you don't get fined, I'll do it. But I don't feel right about it, but I would do it for you. And Matt finally was like, no, you're right. I shouldn't feel right asking you. And someday I'll tell the whole story. He had to go before Commissioner Tagliabue, the fine, all of it. I will tell that entire story. And none of it was Matt's fault, by the way. And that stood with me, because you know how much I love Matt. Mm-hmm. And I would not hire a rookie coach. When you bring in an intern, you put yourself in a bad spot. That's why I don't understand why so many people fire people during the year. You got to pay the guy's contract anyways. Just let him play the year. I don't like the interim thing. Okay. Rich Bisaccia did a tremendous job, and they should have hired Rich, even though he's a first year coach, because literally the grip he had on that it hurt the organization. And then it caused a lot of issues. And then bam, they're in it with Antonio Pierce. And I knew they were going to hire Antonio. So that's why I kept saying, if you know he's your guy, quit interviewing other people. Mm-hmm. Just hire him and tell the NFL, you want me to interview other minority candidates? He's minority. I'm hiring him.
Right.
And I want everyone to listen. I am a guy that if we owned a football team, unless I just knew this guy was my guy, I would want to interview a bunch of different people. I was just reading in my devotions today in Proverbs about wise counsel and hearing many wise voices and seeking counsel. To me, I think it's a benefit to bring in 5 or 6 really, really good coaches and interview them. Mm-hmm. And ask them, what do you think of my team? Maybe they're seeing something you don't see. Like the Raiders brought in the defensive coordinator from the Chiefs. I thought that was a great move and think he would have been a great candidate. Now, I think Pete's better, right? But I think that was smart of the Raiders. Anyways, but my point is I think it is disingenuous and goes around the Rooney Rule. If you're interviewing people that don't have a chance to get the job. Mm-hmm. It's disrespectful. Hey, I'm interviewing you because you're black, or I'm interviewing you because you're Latino.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, you should be interviewing the best candidates. And let's be honest, there are a lot of great candidates who have been overlooked because of the color of their skin.
Right.
That's a factual statement. And I appreciate why the Rooney Rule was invented. But it's like Al Davis said, Raiders never needed the Rooney Rule.
Right.
And so if you know you're hiring Antonio, and at that point they knew they were hiring Antonio, that's why I said, don't do the Rooney Rule. It's disrespectful. And I still feel that way today. Don't interview anyone that doesn't have a shot.
Right.
Just don't do it. I think it's disrespectful. And so I don't have a problem being called out on that. I absolutely did say it, and that's the reason why I said it.
All right. Hondo, over many years of faithful and accurate reporting, I trust you. Can you tell?
Well, let's stop that. Can there be a better compliment to a reporter?
That's a great compliment.
Thank you. That's humbling. I want you to know I don't take that for granted. I'm not entitled to you reading, watching, and listening. So thank you.
Yeah. Can you tell me why Travis Hunter doesn't meet the threshold of dude when he is an amazing shutdown corner? Tony H. from Fresno, California.
Okay, Tony. First of all, he's not a I would not call him a shutdown corner. He's a cover corner. Now he's going to give up some plays. He's going to make some play. But to me, a shutdown corner is a Deion Sanders. A Richard Sherman is a shutdown guy. He's a cover guy. A shutdown means, like with Deion Sanders, literally, and I know a lot of you guys are too young. I mean, he would go in, games, not a game, games where no quarterback threw or whoever he covered. Literally, they just didn't even throw there. Guys will throw at Travis, and guys will make plays against Travis. But Travis will also get some interceptions. Now, he has some of that Deion in him, that ability to create, but he does give up some. So I would not consider him, I would call him a cover corner for sure, and the best one in the draft. I think he's the best corner in the draft. Now let's flip it over. Receiver. I think he is let me just tell you, I think he's the best corner in the draft. Okay. I think he's the best wide receiver in the draft. So you may say, how is that not a dude? Because it doesn't mean can't miss. And there are some times where Travis will take some risks, and I think he's going to pay for that in the NFL. Everybody's good in the NFL. I've shared this story with a million times. TJ Duckett, dear friend of mine, runs, great 40-yard dash, gets drafted first round by the Atlanta Falcons. And we're out at lunch. And I asked him, what's the biggest thing you've learned? And he said, I'll never forget. I think it was the first or second day in pads. He's running the ball on a sweep, and he gets tackled, and he jumps up to look and see nobody had ever tackled him from behind. And it was a lineman. He's like, I didn't know a lineman could run that fast till I got to the NFL. And so I think Travis has a chance to be the best player in this draft. But he does a little bit of freelancing as a cover corner. I don't use the term shutdown. I know other NFL people I've heard them say that too. He's the best cover corner, but he does give up some plays. So that's why. That's a great question, by the way.
All right. Hondo, I say that Ashton Jeanty is the pick. He is Marshawn Lynch 2.0. Do you agree? Cassie K, Wichita Falls.
So you said Cassie?
Yes.
Okay. Cassie, first of all, shout out to Wichita. Love Wichita. Great rodeo there. And but let me just say a couple things to you. I do not think he's Marshawn Lynch. He is not Lynch at all. They're very different. I think Omarion Hampton is more like Lynch. That said, I think he'd be a great pick at 6. And I think there's a chance if he's there. But I think Gene T would be a great pick. I think Omarion Hampton would be a great pick. I mean, this is the first time in a long time I'm in love with this running back class. I have not been in love with the running back class since Saquon Barkley came out. And I mean, there are 5 guys at first round grades. If you're the Raiders and you come away from this draft with Gene T, Omarion, Caleb Johnson, Quinshawn Judkins, or Travion Henderson, I think you're like thanking God. Any of those 5 guys, you just got a great running back. And I think there's some other good ones that aren't first round quality. So yeah, I mean, I think Gene T would be a great pick at 6. Him or Marion to me are both worthy of 6, but I think O'Marion is more Marshawn Lynch than Gene T is Marshawn Lynch.
All right. Good morning, Uncle Hendo. It's your friend Levi S. from New Mexico again. I'm an avid follower of the podcast and have even checked out Riding with Dexter on Spotify. Great work as always. My question today is, with all of your recent talk about linebacker, particularly the one from Georgia, Jalen Walker, does this mean Tommy freaking Eichenberg isn't quite suited yet to take over for Spills? Appreciate your hard work, sir. Levi Stout, New Mexico.
Levi, great question. Everybody knows I love Tommy freaking Eichenberg. Love him. Love every single thing about him. Had some injuries last year. No, this does not mean that I've lost any faith in Tommy. I don't know if there's a guy who believes in Max more than me. Can you think of anyone that believes in Max? Okay. And I would say take Abdul Carter, take Jalen Walker. I mean, so yeah, no, it has nothing to do with Tommy. It has everything to do with you take the best player available. Hey, if you've got if you have a great player and you can get somebody better, I don't know if I should talk about trading up when you're on the show. I don't want to give you any ideas, Mrs. Carpenter, because everybody knows I married out of my league. But anyways, no, it has nothing to do with Tommy. I am a believer. I'm a buyer in Tommy. And I think that guy, he's special. I think he's got a chance to be really special. And remember, 3rd year is when you make your full judgment.
All right. Hello, Hondo. These people crack me up. Shannon.
You just need to know, we genuinely love you guys. Your emails make us laugh.
Shannon has been a revelation to me in the sense that I never considered that the spouse of the insiders are so connected to the information available. I have a 2-part question for you. First, are you as thankful for a beautiful, intelligent woman with bad taste in men as I am?
Absolutely.
That's hilarious. What a great one. Second, how many changes have the Raiders made to the scouting department? Have they added anybody that has a trusted working relationship with coach or spy tech in the past? Just win, baby. Mike Bono from New Jersey.
They have, and we'll get into a lot more of that after the draft. But yes, they have.
Awesome. Next, Hondo, do you feel there is any cause for concern with Colton not in the building with the voluntary program? Is he the only one out? Mike M. Vegas, a 55-year fan. I think you kind of answered that one.
Yeah, already addressed that one. And by the way, let me just say this about Jacoby. Jacoby obviously would like a new deal. I've told you that months ago. But I've had several people ask me, I don't know why I didn't get on that list, but about Jacoby, I do not anticipate a holdout with Jacoby. And that was the call I was talking to you about in Cabo.
Okay.
The Colton call was when we were at Home Depot before I went to the owners' meetings. But that you remember that call. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't expect there to be any holdout with Jacoby, and I know he's there working. So, and I really hope that the Raiders do a long-term deal with Kobe and get him back. And let me just say this, and I know his teammates would love to have him back.
All right, next from Jeffrey B. in Muscatine, Iowa. Never heard of that city. Kind of like Oban. Hello, Hondo. Towards the start of the offseason for the Raiders, there was mention of the importance of organizational alignment and how the Raiders want alignment between Brady, Spytek, and Pete. Is there a risk of the alignment showing cracks if Membu is picked instead of Gene T in the first round of the draft? I feel like Pete would want Gene T to be the bell cow for his offense, but Spytek and Brady would prefer to build the lines. Take care and thank you for the work that you do.
Okay, I'm not going to address this in a ton of detail right now, and I promise you, if you listen to my morning update on Spotify or Apple, Riding with Hondo and Dexter, I addressed this. I think it was this morning. It may have been yesterday, but I'll address this in detail after the draft. There's not going to be any issues. There's complete alignment. And if there is a disagreement, I can tell you, I don't think the pick would be made.
Good point.
So, no, there is absolute organizational alignment. These guys are lockstep, hand in hand.
Good.
And I can tell you, there should be zero concern over that. And I will, after the draft, get into more, probably the Monday after the draft, I'll get into more detail on that question you just asked. And I'll have some really cool behind the scene things to share with you.
All right, next. Warning, not football specific. So
okay, now wait a minute. Let's remind everybody, because we always get complaints if we do emails that are not football. So we usually have one. In this case, I think we have two today, but they're from the same family. And these are not football. So if you want to turn off, that's cool. Appreciate y'all. Again, happy Easter. God bless you all. All right, now go ahead. You warned them.
I did.
I really like having you reading the people's questions.
Well, thank you. I enjoy doing it. All right. Hi, Uncle Hondo and Aunt Shannon. I am 24.
I just think that's hilarious that now you're Aunt Shannon.
I am 24 and
Wait a minute. When the guy sends the email asking about if you have a sister or a daughter, isn't that like going to a family reunion and picking up women? Wouldn't Jeff Foxworthy say that?
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't Jeff Foxworthy say, you may be a redneck?
Yeah. No, that would be true. Okay. Now let me
start over
for the
I'll
fourth
shut
or
up.
fifth time. I am 24 and I am adopted by a white family. I can't tell you how much I love how the two of you talk about adoption. I struggled with thoughts of my own birth mom not wanting me, even though my parents are genuinely remarkable and all of our family truly loves and serves the Lord. My dad, brothers, and I love the Raiders, and we all watch your podcast. Watching you love Dexter Ernest Wayne Carpenter has helped me deal with those feelings. And I think, and my family thinks, it has made us closer as I see how loved I am. With your love of Dexter Ernest Wayne and my understanding, I can't thank you enough for being so vocal. You don't know me, but we see you as Uncle Hondo and Aunt Shannon in our family. Your testimony has made us closer for sure. It has helped me embrace the Lord and my family in a new way. Thanks to the two of you. Thank you for not hiding adoption and sharing your family's journey with us. Brandon N., Redding, California.
Oh, Brandon, what a cool email. Let me tell you, we love our children and we love Dexter Ernest Wayne. He is a gift from God. And I understand why you struggled with thinking that your birth mom didn't want you. A lot of kids who've been adopted struggle with that. And really it's a lie of the enemy, because she loved you enough to give you life. And so I am so glad if us talking about Dexter Ernest Wayne in any way helped you to embrace that and embrace your family. Thank you for allowing us to do that, first of all. And there is nothing to be ashamed about. We love Dexter. We're so grateful for him. And
he takes a nap, and when he wakes up, we're like, oh, he missed you so much when you were sleeping.
And we just love him, and we love to watch our other children love him. And he was with Papa today, and Shannon's dad, obviously my dad's gone. And if Dad's here, he's in Dad's business, and to watch, how he loves Dad and Mom and my mom and his other grandparents, just adoption's a precious, beautiful thing, Brandon. And I'm glad that we were able to help you see that. And then that you were able to maybe even embrace your family more. And it tells you a lot about their character.
For sure.
That they loved you even when you were unsure about the situation. So I think it's awesome. So congratulations to you and your family.
Right next, dear Mr. Carpenter, I watch your show daily and I love the values you espouse bigger than football. 24 years ago, our family adopted a gorgeous little boy. How grateful we were that Jesus would entrust us with our youngest. We have raised him, Brandon, at a great church and loved him every step of the way. Dealing with the enemy's thoughts that his birth mom didn't want him has brought some unique struggles, but all of them were worth it. We gather weekly for a family meal after church on Sundays, and last Sunday he made the decision to get his life right with Christ. At dinner, he told us all how watching your family and Dexter had helped him to embrace us and Christ. We love our son so much, but as our family cried around the dinner table last week, I watched my oldest son tell his brother, I've loved you since the day you got here as my brother, but I have prayed for years that one day I could call you my Christian brother. Last Sunday, we thank God for the two of you and your unashamed witness. Your family will forever be dear to us. You made a difference in our life. Raider Nation for life, and God bless you all. Rick M. I think this is the dad to
That's the dad.
to Brandon. Wow.
How cool.
That's pretty amazing.
And first of all, thank you and your family for adopting.
Mm-hmm.
It is such a gift. It is such a precious, precious gift. Thank you for loving them and just giving them some space to kind of work through. I love that he called it the enemy, because that's what it is. It's the enemy. And that's the enemy trying to attack him, and that you just loved him through it. I would literally say, I mean, I don't know how, if you guys weren't a great family, he wouldn't have been able to receive watching other people. I think Shannon and I were just more of a tool than anything. But, you know, I to watch your son embrace Christ and embrace his family. What a gift to you guys. And we just rejoice with you this Easter weekend that you get to sit around a dinner table now with all your children having embraced the Lord, and you're great parents. And so again, thank you so much. And really a testimony to him and his wife and his kids, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And something you also need to know is that is a testimony to us too, because someday, because it happens to all adopted kids, Dexter's gonna question that himself. So having you email us and tell us that having us be able to see that you loved him through it and where it brought him is just encouragement for us that when that happens to Dexter, we're going to love him through it too. So that's really cool.
Yeah. And
what a great praise story.
Yeah. And we talked with enough people that, and we talked with some kids who had been adopted who told us almost how to embrace that before it happens. And so, but anyways, what a great testimony. Your family's awesome. And I want you to know, just to let everyone know, I sent them this week all copies of Wild at Heart.
Oh, awesome. Great book.
It's a wonderful, wonderful book. For those of you who have not read that book, I encourage every young man should read it to understand himself. Every man should read it to understand himself, and every dad should read it to understand his sons. Every wife should read it to understand her dad, her brothers, and her husband and her sons. I don't think there's anybody that should not. If you want to know men, it's Wild at Heart. I say this a lot. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but outside of my Bible, it is my favorite book. Is it with you?
Yeah. I mean, it's so good just because it helps you understand people. I don't know that it's definitely in my top.
I remember when you read it, I walked in the room and you were crying, and I go, "Are you okay?" And you said, "I wish I'd read this book years ago. I now understand my dad.
My dad the most.
My brother, our sons."
Yeah.
I think it, and I think it helped you understand me even.
Well, it helped me understand everybody, but I struggled the most with my dad. And so it opens your eyes and it's like, oh, no.
And let me just say, you have a wonderful dad.
I do. And I have a great relationship with my dad. Don't think that I don't. I have an amazing father.
But it helped you to understand him and your grandpa.
Yep.
I think that's where the big one was, is you got to understand certain things about your dad because you had to understand your grandpa. So great book. But anyways, so that's our gift to your family is Wild at Heart. If you haven't read Wild at Heart, you should. It's a great book. But again, that was your warning part. That's your non-football emails. But we love to hear you. And listen, to all of you Great Easter. If you don't like the emails at the end that aren't football, we'll always warn you. But don't complain if you don't like it, because we warned you and you stayed and listened.
Exactly.
Right. Thank you for being on, sweetie. Happy Easter to you.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter to all of you. God bless you. I know it's tomorrow, but God bless you all.